Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about converting clock time to solar time, and actually solar time to clock time also. But originally, I'm quite sure, and I think most people are quite sure, that BaZi was based on solar time because they didn't have clocks of the general sort we have today, way back when BaZi was originally created. But today there are some disagreements about what you want to use for your time of birth. And it depends on the master or the school that you are involved in, which one they want to use. Some wish to convert the time of birth to the solar time in China. That is, whenever you were born, wherever on the planet, we look at what time it was, the solar time in China on the time you were born. Because some believe, well, this is where, China was where BaZi was created, which is true, but, they think this is what you have to use. And I have heard that from people who are from Asia, and who had children here in the United States. So that is one aspect. Now, others simply use clock time, and that is basically the time that's noted on your birth certificate. Of course, not every place actually records the actual minute of birth, but many places do, especially today, in more modern times. What I have found is that using your local solar time seems to be the most accurate. And that is based in large part on my analysis of Chimen for my own chart. I happen to have a Chimen birth chart that gives three very different interpretations for these three different times. And the closest one by far is my solar birth, the local solar time where I was born, which is not where I'm living now. But I just happen to have an unusual BaZi. I should say Chimen chart. If I use the clock time, and I was born only a minute or two after the change to the change of a odd hour, so there was a very good chance that I was born in the hour before. And so when I analyze that, and I can't do the analysis anymore, if you're wondering, it's been years since I've done that analysis, and I've forgotten how to do it all. But what it said was, I hate change. I fear change. I don't like change. And I was quite astounded by that. And so I said, well, this is what the Chimen says about me. And my husband actually snorted with laughter when he heard me say that, because we both know I enjoy change. And he would actually probably like me to be a little less changeable. That is, I pursue a lot of different things. I like learning a lot of different things, and I like changing things up. I would say I do embrace change. And that is what, when I use my local time, the local solar time, that is what my my Chimen chart says. So it is, now I also have a lot of water in my Chimen chart, so I'm flexible. This is not weird. But for some reason, the clock time, it had to do with Fanyan or Fuyan, I can never keep it straight. But one is very rigid and the other is very flexible. And that was the difference between the two, the clock time of birth and the solar time of birth. So this is why I use your local solar time. And this is if you ask me to do something for you, like for the San Sha wealth thing, I want to know your time and location of birth so that I can find out your solar time. And usually I don't need that for feng shui because it doesn't really care about the hour. Now, there are places on Earth whose clock time is off by more than an hour from your local solar time. So it is almost always a good idea to check this for yourself. And especially with daylight savings time, it's very easy for the clock time to be off by more than an hour. So today, everybody should be checking this. So what this means also is if you were born close to midnight, this could change your date of birth as well as the hour. It might not, depending on the details of when you were born and where you were born, but it's possible. If you were born on the first day of a solar month, like the tiger, the rabbit, and so forth, it can change your month and date of birth as well as the hour. And if that day happens to be the solar New Year day, which is either February 3rd, 4th, or 5th, depending on which year it is, it might even change your year, month, and month of birth as well as the day and the hour. It could totally change your entire chart. But I don't know anybody that had this happen. That it changes its day, even the day of birth. But it's distinctly possible. I don't see why that can't happen. I just don't happen to know anybody who has this happen for them. Now, if you do have the correct solar date and time of birth, and most of the time it doesn't change your date of birth, but it could, you will have the correct chart when you enter that correct solar time into any of the free BaZi calculators. Now, I don't know if BaZi is so different in interpretation from hour to hour, but the Chimen Dunja destiny chart can change quite a bit. I do know that for certain. But this is the time you want to use if you're going to use that San Sha for Windfall Wealth. And if you're entering my lottery for that, or my raffle for that, not lottery, I will be confirming that I have the correct solar time for you. But you don't have to worry about it right now, but this is for your own good. And if you want to do the San Sha for Windfall Wealth analysis yourself, you should use your correct local solar time of birth. Now, a good place to start, or at least one pretty easy place to start, to convert your clock time, which is what's written on your birth certificate, to solar time is the time and date website. And you just put in time and date and search, and you'll get there first. I've never seen it come up anything but first. And these are screenshots from actually this place right here. And what you need to do is you need to go to the Sun, Moon, and Space tab, which is right here. You click, and it has a drop-down menu, and you're looking for the Sun calculator. When you hit that, a whole new screen comes up, and you will have a place to start to enter your city name. I just decided to do Seattle, and I just got the SEA in there, and it pops up with the Seattle. And so you just click on this. When you click on this, it's going to send you to a new screen. Now, you want to fill in your city of birth. Not where you're living now, but your city of birth. And the birth, you're going to be converting that birth time that's on an official document, that is basically your birth certificate, and that will also note where you were born. Now, I have seen some small towns listed, relatively small. Your city might not be listed here when you type it in if it's a very small city. But I have seen, at least in the United States, I've seen cities as small as about 10,000 people are actually listed. So you may actually find it. You might be surprised. But if it is not listed, any city in your time zone and as close as possible to your longitude is your next best choice. Or you could use a NOAA there is a NOAA website, which I would talk about in more detail in a different video, that actually you use latitude and longitude. And that works out even more accurately. But you have to know the address of the place where you were born. If it was in a hospital, it's that hospital address. So this is that NOAA website. It is actually more accurate. It goes down to the second, which won't be recorded on your birth certificate, but it is a bit more work to use. And but if you cannot find a good city and your city isn't listed, this is what you can do. You will need the latitude and longitude of the location of your birth, the building where you were born in. Hopefully you were born in a building. But you can use a latitude and longitude finder, just lat-lon, something like that. You can do that finder, put that in the search engine, you'll be there. That can help you if you know the address of your birth. And if that's a hospital, yes. If it's on the way to the hospital, you still have a decent idea where it is, at least between where the house was and where the hospital was. It has to be somewhere in between. You usually can get a very good idea. Now, you may consider this also if the converted time to solar time is very close, basically within a minute to an odd hour change. It might also be good to check here, because the time and date actually basically takes the center of the city. And if you were in the outskirts, if you were, in a suburb, it might be different enough that it could make a difference. But if you're not close to an odd hour change when you convert it using the time and date, I don't think you have to worry about it. Now, if you were born on a plane flying over the ocean, that is rare but not unheard of, it will be very difficult for you to find your time of birth, because you don't know exactly where over the ocean that you were born. If you were a pregnant woman and was going into labor, they usually land the plane, if you're flying over land, to have you rushed off to the hospital. But if you're flying over the ocean, like from over the Pacific, which is a very long flight, you may give birth on the plane. So it is conceivable this could happen. Now, and there are also places, even fairly recently, that don't record the minute of birth. They do record the day, just not the minute. And if that happens, what you really need to do is find a really high quality master who does both BaZi and Qimeng, because the Qimeng tends to have a little more detail in the personality, at least I think it does. And they may be able to determine your time of birth for you. It will not be inexpensive, but it is probably worth it if you are having trouble in your life and you've gone through some BaZi and it doesn't seem to help you. It could be you're in a special little situation where you don't have the right time of birth. So this is something that you can consider if you do not have a birth time on your birth certificate. And that's true for my husband. Now, let's say we go back. Once you choose the city, like when I hit on Seattle, you're going to have a whole new thing come up. And you will need to have to go back to your date of birth. I mean, it'll come up and show you the current month. And so this was in March 2025. This is when I did this for Seattle, when I created this video. So it'll start with the first of the month all the way to the last. And of course, you can't show it here because you got to scroll to see it on a regular screen anyway. I don't know if this is readable in the video, but this says 12/21, and this bottom one is 12/20. So it changes slowly as the days go by, and that's normal. What we're looking for here is solar noon. So here, when the clock says 12:21, it is actually noon when we're talking about the sun, where the sun's position is. That's what determines solar noon. Now you have a whole lot of data here, and it's good if you wanted to know when sunrise and sunset is, and the day length. All this stuff is well known, and it's easy to calculate because if you know how to do it, it's not hard. But this is what we're interested in. The one here, and it's on the second to the end, the second to the last column on the right. This is obviously military something. I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure someone out there does. Now, what you need to do is you need to first choose your year. I mean, you don't have to do that. You could choose your month, but you're going to have to choose your year at some point. And this only goes back in 20-year cycles. So if you click on this arrow here, or even inside here, I think it will open up a new thing, and you can go back 20 years. So that would be 2005. And then you would hit go. And then you can go back another 20. Now, if you're between 18 and 20, you won't have to go back. I don't allow underage people to watch my videos. So this is, you only have a small time window before you would have to go back. So this is why I'm covering it. Now, once you get to the right year, then you can just click on your month and then again hit go. And you'll have that 20-year thing. I have to go back, I think, 4 times to get my date. But then it will bring up the correct year and month of your birth. And that's where you look for the solar noon. And this will tell you this is the information you need to be able to convert your birth time on your birth certificate to solar time. So I also want to note that this automatically takes daylight savings time into account, and it will actually show, this is another screenshot, it will say, it says note hour shifts because the clock changes forward 1 hour, and there's blah 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 below. So, and here we have 12:19 on the 8th of March. This is the same day and year, or same month and year as the last slide. And then on the 9th, which is when the United States shifted, or at least most of the United States shifted with daylight savings, it's 1:19. So it has changed that whole hour. The state I live in doesn't, or at least most of it doesn't change, and I hate daylight savings time, so I'm very happy to be in a state that doesn't use it. And of course, you just scroll down to find your actual date of birth. But I did want to show you, yes, don't worry about daylight savings time, it understands it. So what this means is if you were born on March 8th, which is before daylight savings time went into effect, you're going to take 19 minutes and subtract it from your clock time of birth, because it was solar noon, 12 o'clock at 12:19. So whatever time you were born, 19 minutes before that, you're going to have your your solar time, that compared to your clock time. But if you were born on March 9th at the same time, you're going to be taking an hour and 19 minutes from your birth time. So that changes things quite easily. Can easily change your time of birth, your hour of birth, that is. So if you were born at 12:01 p.m., just after noon on March 9th, your solar time of birth is 10:42 a.m. and your hour of birth will change, because this is part of the horse hour, this is part of the snake hour. So it does change. So basically you just have 2 clocks. When this one changes 1 minute, this one does 2. So This is what's going on. This is what's on your birth certificate, the clock time. You're converting it to the solar time. And this is why you're going to be subtracting the extra time if the clock time is later than 12 noon. Now, if this were 12:01 a.m., then a person born on the on the birth certificate was 12:01 a.m., they would actually be born the day before at 10:42 p.m. and that's solar time. So this is an example where, yes, you could actually change your day of birth. This is the rat hour. This is the pig hour the day before. And this is a case where, yes, you actually have both the day and the hour change. And the closer you're born to midnight, the more likely that is to happen. Now, if this were 12:01 p.m., this person is just born on an hour earlier, but not a different day. So this is a horse hour, this is a snake hour. So, but if you were born at 12:01 p.m. clock time, March 8th, your solar birth time is 11:42. Now, this is still part of the horse hour, so your hour of birth does not change. So sometime it does, sometime it doesn't. If you were born during daylight saving time, there's a lot bigger chance your time will change. Now, there are some practitioners and masters who consider the last hour of a day to be part of the first hour of the following day. This gets even more complicated, but it's okay. Now, these individuals would consider March 8th at 11 p.m. to be the solar time. If this were the solar time, it would actually be March 9th at the first hour, the rat hour. And that is the last hour of a day has the same hour pillar as the first hour of the following day. But the day pillar would be different if you were to stick it in any of the BaZi calculators that I know of, the free ones, unless they make something, state something specifically about this. I haven't tested a whole bunch of them, of these, calculators, but there may be some that would consider this anytime between 1300 and 00, up to midnight, 1359, they would consider that part of the next day. And this is a legitimate thing. I don't think it's wrong to say this. I don't have any problem with this. And if your predicted personality for the next day is more in line with your actual personality, this is probably correct. I have not had a situation where I've been able to test this out. I don't know anybody that was born after 11 p.m., before midnight. So, but I'm not going to say that this is wrong. I think it probably is correct, but most BaZi calculators don't do that. And I'm okay with it too, honestly. It's because I haven't had an ability to test it. I don't know who is right. So I'm going to show a different example. Now this one is Chicago, January of 2025. Here, when we look at the solar noon, we find that clock noon is before, it's earlier than 12 noon. So here, if you were born on these first 2 days of the new year of 2025, you would need to add 6 minutes to your clock time because this says 11:54. Might be a little hard to read. The first 2 days are the same. The next two, it's 11:55, and the last one here is 11:56. So it does change every day. Not every day, but regularly. And if this headed down to the second, it would change, of course. But you can guess quite accurately at some point, and not too much later in this month, solar noon and clock noon could be identical. This could read 12 o'clock, and it would say 12:00 p.m. And that is possible. I didn't look, but you can look this up and find out what date that is. It's a good little practice. And again, this is Chicago, January of 2025. Now, when converting your clock time to your solar time of birth, the focus is on the clock time. So, because that's what's going to be written on your birth certificate. What you're looking for is the difference between the listed clock time at solar noon and 12, and it's PM, but 12:00. If the listed clock time is before 12 p.m., you add those minutes to your clock time of birth to find your solar time of birth. That's the rule. And if the clock time is after 12 p.m., you subtract those minutes, that the difference between the solar noon, that is 12, and whatever number this is, you're going to subtract those minutes from your clock time of birth to find your solar time of birth. And this is just the rules. This is just how you do it. Now, your birth certificate will list your clock time of birth in the city or location of your birth, if it lists the time. And nowadays, most do. Now, there is a difference. If you're planning on buying a lottery ticket or making a risky investment, the solar time is the focus. If you're going to be using my charts that are available at the coffee store here, what I am listing there is solar time. That is actually quite important to know. It is solar time. And so you're looking again at the difference. You still have to go to wherever you are and you're living at the moment, not where you were born, but where you're living at the moment. And you're looking at the difference between the listed clock time and the solar noon. That is, what is the difference between that and 12? If the listed clock time is before 12 p.m., you're going to subtract those minutes from your clock time to buy. And this can throw people off because you're looking at a different focus. And that's why you flip what you do. If you remember, if you're going the other way around, you would be adding those minutes, right? But now you subtract them because you are looking for the clock time when you know the solar time. So for a scientist, this makes total sense, but this throws a lot of people off because they don't understand what's going on. Now, if the clock time is after 12 p.m., you're going to add those minutes to your clock time to find the right time to buy. The time to buy is your local, where you are presently located, solar time. And that's what my San Sha tables available here are calculating for you. My tables list the local solar time. This is something you really need to remember. So let's say you happen to be living in Seattle, regardless of where you were born, and you had a date in March to buy a lottery ticket. You again use your time and date tables to do this. And let's say it was a snake hour, you were supposed to buy a ticket. And the snake hour is between 9 and just before 11 a.m. And these are military hours, that's why there's a 0 there. And so we know exactly in the 24-hour clock when it is. Now, this time on March 1 through the 3rd is actually 9:21 to 11:20. And that's because these three, solar noon is 12:21 clock time. So there's 21 minute difference, and so I just add 21 minutes to this. This would come from my tables. the time that you're supposed to buy, the solar time you're supposed to buy. Now, the time and date website does allow you to search forward in time, but there is a caveat. It's an important thing. It will assume that the current pattern of daylight saving time, if it exists, or even if it doesn't, is in place in the future. This may change in actual fact in the future, and there is a move in here in the United States to get rid of daylight savings time, which I'm totally fine with. But that would mean that those, if you were looking far ahead, that might no longer be true of the times. If you were here in the United States and you're looking in the future for the time to buy a lottery ticket. So if you use that, make sure you check it again when you're much closer to the actual date of the time to buy, because this could this could change. So you have to, because the clock time has nothing to do with reality. You know, it's whatever you decide your clock time is. So, but solar time is real. So here, this is what you would get from my charts: the solar time to buy a lottery ticket, and this is for Paris, France. Now, if you are a member, you will know that January 28th of next year is a good date for me to buy a lottery ticket. It's not the strongest. It's like 4 out of 5, not the full 5 out of 5. So it's not super strong. But if I happen to be in Paris, France at that time, unlikely but possible, I would be using this time, because Paris, France is an hour and 3 minutes after noon. So it is, and this is not daylight savings time. This is their normal clock time is shifted that much because of the way, I guess they just decided to I don't know how much of Europe is in the same time zone, but obviously it is doing a kind of a weird thing, because it usually the time zone is made so that solar noon and clock noon aren't that far off, but they are here. So it's pretty impressive. But this is the time to buy the ticket in Paris, France on this date at the snake hour. Now, if I were in Paris on this good day for me, I would need to buy a French lottery ticket, because that's where I am at. And I mean, I have to buy something that I can buy in that time zone, not, let's say, trying to buy online. I do know there are some places you may be able to buy tickets online, but I think it's really unlikely that from Paris, France, I could buy a ticket if in the United States, which is my home country. So if you are away from home during your San Sha for Windfall Wealth date, you can buy a lottery ticket where you're located. Or you could invest in something risky if you were planning on doing it. It'd still be a good time. And you're going to use that location's local solar time. You use the local solar time of wherever you're located when you do the buying. And you would, I mean, this is something you really need to understand, that it's not your house, it's where you are at. So this means that if you're going to use this date to buy a lottery ticket, you need to buy a lottery where you are located, where you could go to the store and buy it. And that's at the local solar time. Now, if you are at home and you can purchase a ticket online for your local lottery, you could do it from home at the solar time, you know, and buy a local a local ticket. You could do that, but I'm talking about it's the local time, where if you were going to go out to the store and buy it, it would be the same thing. So, and again, I'm going to emphasize this one more time. When you buy this, if you're going to use the San Sha Windfall Wealth date, you must buy, you must be the one to buy the ticket. Other people can't do this for you. And you buy one ticket, one set of numbers for one draw, because you are putting all that San Sha energy into one single set of numbers. That's much more powerful than trying to spread it out. So that's it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope this is a good tutorial for you so that if you're doing this for yourself, you're going to do it properly. And I really hope it works for you. I'd be thrilled if it works, because then this is something worthwhile. So thanks again for watching.